Yo. Palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. All right.
You good? You warmed up?
I'm warmed up.
Yo, he's ready to perform at the Super Bowl, man. Next year, you got to plug him in.
All right, let's get it. What up, everybody? This is the No Politics Podcast. As always, I'm your boy Faking No Moves.
I'm your boy Eric B NYC.
WorkinGenius.
I know y'all niggas saw that. Wait, scratch that. Hold up, bring it back.
Did you learn nothing from last week?
I know y'all saw that last episode. I'm talking to the people out there. Nah. But what up, everybody? This is your boy Faking No Moves.
Bro,
Too
you
late.
might as well take it back all the way from the fucking top, bro.
I know. Don't worry, I'll make it much easier for you. Starting now.
Ran it up like Forrest Gump, mixed with Usain Bolt, but you never really made it back. You kept paving waves. When I spin the globe, I'm connected across the map. I'm a walking business brand. I'm a mogul with LLC. What you telling me?
What up, everybody? This is the No Politics Podcast. 100% unfiltered. If it's worth talking about it, we talking about it. I'm your boy Faking No Moves.
And your boy Eric B NYC.
I'm WorkinGenius.
We in this building.
Yes,
As
sir.
always, the weekly service.
That's right. So, I mean, where we going to start off? I think it's pretty obvious. We had a conversation as soon as the Netflix documentary, the much anticipated Jeen-Yuhs documentary, Kanye West basically telling his story from the very beginning. So we kind of had a discussion. Was it, I would say, beginning of the week, right? When this thing was dropping, and I was like, I think I'm the one that saw it first, if I'm not mistaken.
When it dropped, yes.
Yeah. So,
But it's been one of the most anticipated documentaries for a couple months now. Like what I want to say, like
Right.
around the summer, or was it around when Donda dropped that they started teasing it?
Yeah, I think they had like a mini trailer, right? Like or Netflix or something that was floating around. But even before that, you can honestly say for years, like people knew that there was tons of footage that existed from, the period of when Kanye was just an up and coming producer who was actually in the process of recording what ended up being the College Dropout and stuff. So like this has been bubbling for a long time. This is like 20 years of footage. What's his man? Cootie, from Chicago, also basically,
MVP. Shout out to him. Man.
has like unbelievable footage, and stuff. Like to me, like I got halfway through and I sent a voice memo to the chat, and I was like, yo, like we got to talk about this on the podcast, like because this is incredible so far.
Yeah.
So like, what are you guys' reactions, like first reactions on it after seeing it? It was an hour and a half episode, I believe, right?
Yeah. I wish it was longer, even though they are more parts.
Yeah, it's three parts.
But man, it was legendary. I'm like, yo, Cootie really recorded this stuff and captured a time that was so important, because for me personally, how I connect with Kanye, I remember back in 2004, before the College Dropout was dropping, he had Through the Wire out. Like that was probably the first thing I heard of him rapping, and I was instantly a fan. You know what I'm saying? And I kind of just felt like watching that. It reminded me of 2004 and thinking like, damn, I was a young kid in New York City, and like I didn't even know Kanye was out there grinding,
That's crazy.
doing what he got to do to get this record deal. And I'm a young kid that like is looking to him and was inspired by him. You know what I'm saying? As soon as like the first time I heard him. I also remember the first time I saw his name though, he was on a Rockefeller flyer that I got at the Puerto Rican Day Parade. And it's funny
Word.
because
Imagine if you still had that with the way like
I still had that, bro. It had MOP on it. It had everybody on it.
That's
Everybody.
crazy.
It was the whole Rockefeller roster. And if one day I get to maybe bring it up to someone in Rockefeller, maybe they could confirm it. But bro, it was fire. That was one of my main collection pieces I had. But as I got older, things like that, I didn't know they were gonna be like vintage
Collector's
shit,
items.
or
Yeah.
collector's item. But anyway, it brought me back to that, like that time with this of discovering Kanye and falling in love with his music. And I couldn't believe that this was his grind and they documented it. Felt like a movie.
Yeah, it was incredible. Incredible.
I mean, man, I got actually a lot of thoughts. And I was like jotting things down as I was watching it. Like, man, this is a good talking point, stuff like that. I don't really know where to start, so I'm just not gonna. I'm just gonna see where the flow of the conversation naturally takes us. But it's crazy because we just came off last week's episode where we were kind of talking about how Kanye handles the Kim and the North situation, and you was saying, Aaron, how you was riding for Kanye, and me and Eric were more on like Kim's side of the situation. And like, just to be clear, like, that don't mean like I dislike Kanye at all. Like, I think it's really hard. Like, it's funny with Kanye because there's moments where you like, oh my God, Kanye, like, what are you doing? And then there's
Like the
moments,
last 2 weeks.
yeah.
No,
And
the
then,
last 2 weeks I'm fucking with Kanye. I love it. I don't even care.
nah, I think you're
But
like supporting someone
but
who's
there's
not.
been time. Best believe when he did had that TMZ moment, stood next to Trump and all that. That rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah.
I've never just not felt a way where I was disappointed in Kanye. He's not just perfect in my eyes or anything
Well,
like that.
yeah, no, he's not, and I don't,
You
and I
know.
don't expect him to be, but
But
I there's things he does that I disagree with, and
yeah,
last week and the last 2 weeks were some of those moments, but it's like at the same time, then we
man,
watch something like this, and it's so easy to like root for him again or to
yeah.
like
I
love him
watched this
again,
and I even love him more that he said, "Don't nobody do nothing to Skeet. I'ma handle it myself." You gotta love that. You
I didn't
gotta
even know he
love
said
that.
that.
He
Yo,
said, "Kim's scared somebody's gonna hurt Skeet.
Wait, did
Nobody
he
do
say that?
anything. I'ma handle it myself."
He tweeted that.
He put that on Instagram.
that's
Kanye to the from the
that's funny.
Chicago South Side.
Nah, but to your point, Cesar, like I would say, like when I watched it, I felt the same thing. Like it kind of reminds you watching the documentary as you see him on his grind, trying to knocking down on these doors, trying to get his name out there and trying to get heard. Like going into the Rockefeller offices and playing All
Oh, that
Falls
was so hard
Down,
to watch too.
and you're not getting any
They weren't
reaction,
giving him no energy,
no
like he
energy.
didn't
Pick up the
exist,
phone.
bro.
Nobody was vibing. Like they were
Someone come in and interrupt.
They didn't
right,
even take him
Fucking,
seriously. Basically, is the
right,
gist of it.
you
right.
see Biggs laying there on the couch. I peeped that. Biggs was
Yeah,
laying
yeah.
on the couch.
And you see that one thing that really struck me too, and I kind of really felt bad for him, was the point where he's in Chicago for that conference. He ends up seeing one of the dudes who mentored him with no ID, local Chicago producer. I forget the guy's name. Long story short, he ended up being recorded on camera, the his mentor for the documentary that Cootie was filming the whole time.
Dub Nice or something.
His name was Doug something.
Yeah, something. And he goes and he says all these nice things about Kanye. Kanye's super talented. He's one of the best from Chicago, blah, 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 bigging him up. And then the next thing you know, Kanye is sitting in his car in the back seat.
Doug
And
Infinite.
this same Doug Infinite, he ends up releasing the diss song about Ye, going at him for some XXL article that I guess that Kanye insinuated was edited in a certain way to make it seem as though he wasn't bigging up the people who put him on or help, teach him the ropes in the game. And like, I really like felt like, damn, yo, like I can see, you can actually trace back why he's become the person he's become today in many ways just by looking at that first
It's crazy because
episode.
for me, I was like, that's all one day, like happening
Yeah.
right now on film. And I felt like that was the day that changed his life in a way. Because then he went to his mom's crib. And the one thing that stuck out to me that I said I definitely wanted to talk about was when his mom said a giant looks in the mirror and sees nothing.
I wanna
How you
talk
could
about
be
that, too.
grounded and still be in the
Still be up
sky.
in the sky, yeah.
Oh my God, like that's
Yeah.
advice that to this day he could look at that and it could resonate with him and help him and keep him, you know what I'm saying, focused if he ever needs it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that was
Has he lived in your estimation
Up to it.
by yeah up to it?
I think it
he's
ebbs and
definitely
flows.
strived to do that, but no one's perfect.
I think the thing with Kanye is that more than anything, and this kind of goes back to why I value intent so much, I don't think his intent is necessarily negative. Like he doesn't come off as like a super negative intention person. I just think he can be very misguided and impulsive maybe at times
One hundred
even.
percent.
And but I think he has a good heart. And that's why it's so easy to turn around and watch this and be like, damn, like Kanye, like you
I
the
think he
boy.
does
Like
have a good heart, and I think also one of his flaws is that his communication skills are lacking. When he's trying to get a point across and a message across, it comes out very clumsy. Oftentimes,
mhm.
even and also he has an ego to him that can be off-putting. So like Kanye will have a certain information or will have a certain idea and he will scream it at the mountaintops. And if you are somebody who is not all the way on board off the rip or 100% receptive, he looks at you as like almost like an enemy or a hurdle to what he's trying to do. Like he's done it to his own people on his own
True.
label. Like the whole beef with Big Sean when he took shots at him on Drink Champs stemmed from the fact that he felt like Sean didn't support him enough when he ran for president,
That was whack.
right? And he threw Sean on the bus and said it was the biggest mistake that his label ever made in signing him.
Yeah.
Like, meanwhile, that dude helped co-wrote some of your biggest hits ever, right? You know, and that dude, despite all of the shit that you went through, was one of the most loyal soldiers you had. Also, the biggest artist that good music has ever produced. So, I mean, that's just one instance in many that you can kind of trace back and highlight. But like, with all that said, like it kind of, I think this documentary is gonna humanize him in a
I wrote
way.
that word down too.
Yeah, it's gonna humanize Kanye in a way that he can't do on his own, or that anybody else, no matter if you're Jay-Z, Beyonce, or anybody who speaks out on his behalf, can do. This is gonna show. This is showing him from the bottom, from the very beginning. And it's funny because if you look at him, a lot of the things that we see in him today are evident back then. He still has confidence, you know, like he's still self-assured, like he believes that what he has to offer is something that you need in your life and the people need. However, he doesn't have the power, he doesn't have the money, he doesn't have the resources. And by that, it kind of keeps a checks and balance on how high you get. He has a humbleness to him that's not so evident nowadays.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I
I
thought it
can
was
agree.
interesting. I thought it was interesting that like even back then, like his mom knew it, and his mom was like you can come off arrogant sometimes, and I get it. Like you need to have some oomph to you. Like you need to have that. You need to believe in yourself to that level when you're trying to make it and be successful. But at the same time, like you can't see your reflection. You can't be a giant that sees your own reflection, as in like you can't buy into your own hype or like feed into your own ego, right? Like it's
Mhm.
okay that other people see you as a giant, but just make sure you don't start to see yourself as a giant. Stay on the ground, kind of thing. And to other people, you'll always be in the air, like. And I think it's so interesting that she could see it and she kind of helped to
Of
keep
course,
him
that's her
there. You know what I
son.
mean? Yeah, like
Like
so.
it's that natural, you know, your kid, how you raising them,
And it's not
their
easy to balance, I'm
everything.
sure, because you probably begin to second guess so many things. Like I mean, as humans, right, when we're doing something, if there's some pullback or drawback from someone that we, you know, that's close to us, we might have that thought like, damn, is this person like just hating? Or is there some credence to it? And like, you know, like even having those thoughts, like it's gotta be so much more magnified when you're on an even bigger level, like on a higher level. So like it can be tough to balance like the humility to be like, all right, let me listen to what this person's saying, and then the ego to be like, nah, I believe in myself to the point where I know what they're saying. Like I hear them, but they not wrong. They not right now. You know what I mean? Like there's got
Yeah.
to be a tough balance in that.
What was your takeaway, Aaron, with just seeing his interaction with his mom and stuff like that?
That shit was everything. That shit was amazing. I kind of like felt sad.
Yeah,
I
me
was
too.
like, damn, man, like
I'm
he needs that. Like he
One
needed
hundred
that.
percent.
Like
That's what I kept
his
thinking.
mom and like everything that Cootie said, like how she had a way about her to make you feel welcome. Like I felt that through the camera.
1,000%.
And it
she
said a
was
lot to
pure.
me when
She was like a pure
Cootie
soul.
left that house and went to go see his family in Chicago and made sure to get some footage of that because of the way that Kanye's mother made him
Made
feel,
him
the
feel.
family vibe that she gave him. That shit said a lot to me too. I was like, yo, that shit was such a real moment that even he had to go see his family and reconnect with that and ground himself because they're living so fast in New York, chasing this dream, you
Right.
know? And that's why I say that's probably the day that changed Kanye's life. Cause he went from all that chasing that to getting on the conference and then fucking his friend dissing him after he was just with him smiling in his face to then having to see his mom and be like she's just like his mom, she gave mom vibes. She was like, he's like, did I tell you MTV? And she was like, oh, you said you were gonna try, I didn't know. And like they just, you know, um catching up with each other. And then his mom spit the rhyme. She was like, I walked through
I
the
love that
halls.
too.
Like I
Like she
love that
remembered his
that
shits.
rap.
Like
You need to
yeah,
speak more
like
about things like that. And you know it's crazy
She was
that
his
she was
biggest fan.
instilling
yeah,
that in him.
yeah.
She was his biggest fan.
She's
And
probably the number one reason why Kanye did records just like that. She definitely is. Like,
yeah, and like you, I think you hit it on the head, Aaron, because like um she is the one that nurtured that self-belief that he had in himself that allowed him to do all these amazing things to this day. Nobody could tell him nothing. When he calls himself the Walt Disney, of this era, the Steve Jobs of this era, and sings these high praises of himself, like he gets that because his mom instilled in him from day one a self-belief in his ability as a creative and just like as somebody who was special and ordained, like to do great things.
Ordained.
And
Yeah, that's a
yeah,
good word.
and he that never left him even with his mom passing. The other thing though is like what you said, Cesar, like you noted the fact that she's somebody who mentioned that he had an ego. She also spoke directly to him, and you could tell it resonated in a way that somebody, even as a close friend or another family member, might not be able to get through to him because that was his mom. That was the person that was going to get to him. So, like, when people talk about Kanye and they talk about he lost his way after his mom died or he hasn't been the same since his mom died, there's a lot, you can see why there's a lot of truth to that. Like, obviously we don't know him well enough to say if that's 100% the thing, but like we could take a really fucking good guess just by looking at that segment and those couple minutes that we seen on screen, how they're interacting. Like it's pretty evident like she was somebody who was like really really that rock that he kind of leaned on and stuff.
and we can all relate to that because we all have mothers, and I know we have close relationships with our mothers. So I
1,000%.
can't I can't even put myself in his shoes. God forbid. You know what I mean? Like, and then you got the world looking at you now. You've achieved that dream, and you got everybody's eyes on you. How are you gonna react from this? You know?
Right.
Can't wait
Right.
to honestly. I hope there's like the same kind of raw footage for all these moments, even up to that.
But the beautiful thing about with his mom, though, at least she got to see him experience his success. She died around like late registration time, I believe, if I'm not
No.
mistaken.
808s and Heartbreak right before, after
Yeah,
graduation.
yeah. So it was in between. It was after
Graduation and 808s. Yeah.
the reason I know she died around that time is because he performed "Hey Mama," I think, on one of the award shows and broke down crying in the middle of the performance. So she had just it was around it was in between the time of late registration. I'm in 808s.
And graduation, then there's graduation in the
I mean,
middle of
no,
it.
my bad. Graduation, yeah, because
Yeah.
graduation was the third one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because Also, Big Sean said Donda sent him his contract, and it's signed by her when he signed to Good Music.
Yeah, she was she did administrative work for him and
That was
stuff.
during
Like
the
she helped.
graduation time, though. Period. So he did "Hey Mama" when his mom passed away, just like in tribute to
As a
her.
tribute to her and broke
Yeah,
down.
but it was during, I think, in between graduation and 808s when she passed away.
Wasn't Hey Mama on late
It was
registration
on
though?
late, but he always
Yeah,
had
but
that.
she hadn't passed. Is
Because
what, like
remember,
that was just a song
he
in
put that
tribute
song
to
out and
her.
he showed footage that we're probably gonna see in the
Okay.
documentary
Okay.
of him singing it to his mom when
So
and
maybe I'm
rapping
getting
it.
the timelines fucked up, but
Yeah.
I do remember distinctly seeing the performance
Oh, that was a legendary
where he
performance.
performed Hey
He
Mama
put
and he
his
broke
soul
down.
into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I hope that's got to be part of the documentary.
Yo, that when he performs that song to this day, I can't really listen to that whole song. I get teary because I think about my mom,
Yeah.
you know, and like I get like dead ass, like my hair starts standing up. Like it's hard for me to listen to that song the way through.
Yeah, man.
You know, like that's a fucking great record. But you know, it's funny because it's like I was talking with my brother Drew earlier, and he was saying like, "Yo, I'm bumping College Dropout right now." Like that's how it resonated him just watching that thing. And
Yeah, I
I
was bumping
found
College Dropout before I got on with
exactly.
that.
I was finding myself working to get through the day, and I couldn't stop thinking about the documentary. I started playing.
I bump College Dropout even without the documentary.
Pat, was it Barry Horowitz?
Yeah.
Pat himself on the back. But nah, like yeah, I was playing Last Call because I love that song. Not only because of the rhyme and the beat, but the way it breaks down that song at the end, the instrumentation, and then him telling the story that we're actually watching.
Raucous Records, all
In this
that
series.
getting dropped, and then last minute Dame Dash giving him the deal.
I love that
facts.
song.
Last call, man. Literally, part one of the documentary summed up Last Call, the song,
1000%.
1000%. Also, you just reminded me when Scarface is listening to Family Business.
That's what I was bumping. I like how y'all just went through what y'all was bumping. I was bumping Family Business.
Well, I was gonna ask y'all what's your
resonated with me. I was over here bumping my head like I was in the studio with them. Like, yeah.
What's your favorite part though?
My favorite part?
Cesar, have him
of the whole documentary.
Yeah, what was your favorite part? If you had to pick one,
bro, I had
your favorite scene.
One, I don't know if I could choose one. I think I liked the part. I like two parts. There was one part where he's talking about how Just Blaze is like his arch enemy, and he's like, he's my arch enemy, but he makes my beats better because he's here making 3 beats a day. And a lot of times the Chicago mentality, and I think we could all relate to, it's not like
just Chicago,
just Chicago, but he was like, you do a little work and then you chill and you vibe and you talk about your past work. And I feel like we've all been there. Like
that's a great scene.
I like that part too.
Yeah, and like I'm happy we doing this podcast because it's a sign of us. Like, you know, how long do we talk about making a podcast before we get on the podcast?
Facts.
You know what I mean?
We'll all relate to it. Yeah.
That scene, that was a small scene, but I was like I fucked with that. I liked when he mentioned how I think he was doing like an interview, but he was in his car, and he was like that he was broke and he had no money for a cab to like run over to like the
to play
studio
Beats for Shine.
Yeah, and so he just ran, and like that's how hungry he was. It was like 20 minutes or some shit. He ain't have cab money.
Fucking
great.
That's a great moment. And then the last thing I was gonna mention was when he was upset that they only listed him in the commercial as Kanye.
Yeah,
and he was like, they might as well have put Ye.
You stealing all the good ones, though.
I'm honestly,
I was just gonna say my favorite parts aren't as good as his, so I'm gonna go with his favorite parts.
Facts.
I mean, I was scared y'all was gonna move off of it without me getting some of these out. But he says that, and I think it's funny because obviously he recently changed his name to just Ye.
Yeah.
And
I was thinking that.
It's like that's basically his way of like taking that and flipping it, because back then he wanted it to be Kanye West because he needed to make sure people knew who he was, right? But and otherwise people might not know who he is if it was just Ye. But now you could be Ye and people still know who he is.
I
Automatically.
felt the same
You
way
know
when
what I
I was
mean?
watching that, but also to add on to what you said, there's another part
At the end, yep.
when he's doing the MTV You Heard It First and he's having an interview and he says, I want to get to the point where I'm known by one name.
Yep, I'm trying to get to the point where I could drop the last name off my name. Is what
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So I
What about you, Aaron?
All of it. The whole
All of
fucking
it?
documentary
The whole
was
thing?
my favorite part. Nah, but ultimately what holds the heaviest weight is the scenes with his mom.
1000%.
Nothing
Yeah.
bigger than that. Even when they're sitting on the porch and they're talking about him winning all the talent shows, like, oh my God.
Fire. One of my favorite scenes, honestly, and this might not hit anybody's radar, but the Scarface scene to me in the studio when he's playing Family Business and he plays him Jesus Walks. Like, I don't know if y'all picked this up, but it appeared to me that Scarface was kind of dumbfounded and didn't really have bars for Jesus
know how to
Walks.
attack it.
It's
Yeah.
not
didn't
that
know how to
he didn't
attack
like
it.
He didn't know how to rap.
Right.
Yep.
Because when Kanye was like, "You think you could do something for that?" He was like, "That's gonna be hard." And then he was like, "That's hard." But really, he was trying to say like, "That's
You know,
hard. The
yeah.
song's hard, but it's gonna be hard for me to write to
Yeah,
this. I don't even
right.
know what to write to it."
He
Right.
didn't know how to get on.
Right. And then he plays with Family Business. And what I love about it is that he gives them the ultimate cosign. Like, even though he didn't end up getting the feature from Scarface was like, yo, like that's fucking incredible.
And I love that he said that at the end when he was left the studio. He was like,
Right.
you know,
Like that was the takeaway for him.
when I
like,
spit for him, he said incredible. Like I was
Yeah.
like, ah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
fire.
It just fed the confidence and like he was like he knew he's on the right path. It gave him like that, you know, that recognition.
yeah.
And it's crazy how something so small like that, like it feels like, man, he said one word, all he said was incredible.
And
But that's
also-
enough to keep driving you, you know, and Cootie
Yeah.
even mentions it like as he's narrating.
Right.
And a few other things I saw, little things, was how much Consequence and Ron Fest was around. I was being aware of that too because, you know, Kanye's known now that he has writers and he feeds off other talent and artists. But back then, you couldn't just come out as a new artist and be like, "Yeah, I'm writing my
Yeah, it
album with
wasn't
these
normal.
guys and these names."
Or
There
seen.
was always rumors. I guess for me as a kid, they were, "Oh, you know, Consequence is writing this and Rhyme Fest is right." And to see them around throughout that tour is like, okay, I mean, we know now what they did right and what they didn't. Like Rhyme Fest was part of creating fucking Jesus Walks and all that, but it's just confirmation too. It's like, oh shit, like when I was a little kid, like it confirms, like, you know, just a little
Well,
kid, like I
also
said.
to Ye's credit, to hop on that point, like in the documentary, they do show Kanye crediting Rhymefest and said that they created the Jesus Walk song together. There was like, yeah, he's one of the writers on the song, right? And I don't know if you picked up on this, but I'm curious to find out, and I don't know what this is, but Rhymefest is shown recording a verse to Jesus Walks in the film, and you also hear
It starts the same way as the second verse. For
it
Kanye.
starts to say as the same way as Kanye's, but it changes and it's different.
Yeah.
So,
it changes.
which goes to show either one or two things happen. Either Rhymefest was initially going to be a featured artist on that song, or he laid a reference vocal that Kanye was going to listen back to, and then like, I'm going to pick and choose what I like, and I'm going to add my own twist on it, which probably is what ended up happening. But he was pretty open with it. Like, it's not as if he was kind of like hiding in the shadows like Drake or some other hip hop artists. Like, he was like, all right, this is a collaborative process.
Yeah.
This is how I do music. I think I'm still nice, but yeah, like, I also surround myself with dudes who are nice also, and sometimes we may collaborate on a song. Like,
And I think by the time his second album was coming out, even to me as a young kid, he was already fully embracing like, yeah, I work with other artists that are great too, like you just alluded to.
right.
But you also just tapped into a memory of mine of there was a show that showed classic records, how they were created, and they touched on Jesus Walks. Did you see that? I think it might have been on BET before. And it said a lot to me. I remembered in that moment of when he got, because he was in Chicago, when he got back to New York, he no, to New Jersey in his apartment, he went instantly back to that song to start working on that song. And it reminded me of the series I was talking about, because they said that Rhyme Fest had the idea for that song like a year or something prior to Kanye start working on it, and had brought it to Kanye and was like, "Yo, we should do this, redo this." And that Jesus walks is like a classic old church song,
Yeah, I think Rhyme Fest brought him the sample.
and he had brought the sample
Yeah.
way before they started working on it. So Rhymefest has always been a part of that idea, and the fact that Kanye's always been a real one and credit him on it and all that says a lot too, you know.
But think about it also. He had All Falls Down, right? With the Lauren sample, not the Selena Johnson version that ended up being on the album because they couldn't clear Lauren. He had All Falls Down. He had 2 words with
Def.
Freeway and Most Def. And he had Jesus Walk. And that's what he was shopping as part of his demo. Like, this is the album that he's working on, and he was trying to get a deal and couldn't
Songs
get a
are
deal.
legendary at this point
Like,
now.
crazy.
When I heard them in 2004, I said these songs are classic. As a kid, I knew that these songs would play when I was gonna be adult. Now to now this day, and they are. But that's just crazy. That's what you shop. You shopping around real classics.
And people
Anyone
not
who
even and
passed
people
on
not
that
even
was
caring.
really stupid.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. That's another thing I wanted to mention is just how much rejection we saw, and like how a lot of times he was in rooms with these very important people, you know, rubbing elbows with very important people, and it felt like, man, his shit is like he's real close, and still rejection after rejection. Even when that one A&R really wanted him and was telling him like, yo, you different, you special, all that shit, like even that fell through
But
because
the
they couldn't
higher
convince the
ups,
higher ups, and it's just like,
Was it Raucous Records, Capitol
yeah.
Records?
Mhm.
Like, he could have been signed to either of them if the heads were to sign off on it, but like they couldn't get the heads to sign off because they didn't think he was going to be a viable, person to make money for the label.
Yeah, they couldn't like shake their initial impression of
and
him
to
as
be
a
honest,
producer.
if you weren't 50 Cent at that time, new artists really weren't breaking that year. 2000, like after 50 exploded in 2003, new artists really weren't breaking come 2004. Kanye broke though. He was the only exception. But who else broke around the time Kanye broke that was new?
Yeah, I love that. I love that you brought up 50. I think great that's a great point that you're making because like you really feel like what you're watching in that documentary is not only Kanye's rise and evolution, and you're not only witnessing Kanye you know reaching this pinnacle and stuff and getting the cosign that he needed in the platform he needed to get his music out to the masses. You're also watching a change in hip hop. Like you are seeing the seeds planted where it went from 50 Cent, the street records, Rough Riders, G Unit, like that hard edge street stuff which was winning and dominating, Dipset. It went from that to now you got a guy who is not a street dude. He's not a gangster rapper.
Mentioning Dipset when he's in the office and they playing "Oh Boy" and he's
Yeah,
just
he was
like,
rhyming to it.
rhyming to it,
He wears the pink polos. Like he's in touch with his feelings. Like he talks about stuff that is not.
taking his retainers out.
Yo, that's
He-
another
leaving them
great
around.
That was
thing.
adorable. No, but I like how many times they showed it.
He was
That's
mad
a
self-conscious of
humanizing
it, too,
kind of
like,
thing.
hold
It's
on,
like
wait, I'm
Super.
doing
shit is
like-
adorable.
And then
then
Scarface
Scarface-
calls him on it.
yeah,
and he ignored it.
I mean, it
Oh.
was probably like not rude, but like you
Yeah,
can't just
but-
take your retainers out and put them on the table, dog. Like,
I would've
gotta be
been
a
like,
little
what the
more
fuck is that?
hygienic about it.
And this
But-
wasn't just like, is that your retainer? He was like, yo, what the fuck is that right there? That's really what it, like, you can't blame him for that.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
yeah.
I feel like if you've never seen retainers, you also.
But
might not know
back
what
to
they-
the top, the point of that 50 and the way and Kanye came through with the new, you can tell you was watching Kanye the moment in the industry where shit was changing because Kanye got a record deal.
It was the
It's
shift.
crazy.
It's the shift. It's the shift. Obviously, the next episode is going to show now the release of College Dropout and stuff like that. We only got to the point with the first episode where he gets his chain. He signs his deal with Rockefeller Records. Finally, they accept him, and they're in talks of releasing an album within the next year or so. And then it kind of ends there. So like the next episode, obviously, I'm pretty sure is going to cover the accident through the wire,
get to that
and stuff like that. So it's like it's going to take his legend even higher now because like it's a weird thing. I don't know. I mean, you guys are younger, so I don't know.
One
how
thing
you
I did notice too, though, I
Yeah.
don't know if y'all peeped when he was going to go see his mom. He had the Louis duffel with his stuff in the Louis. He was still on. He was ready to get to that level. Like
Yeah.
it was like, damn, Kanye all along was gonna be what he was gonna be, no matter what,
And what's cool about it too is like, unlike other documentaries, because of the way that Cootie shot it, and we should also mention it's Cootie and Chike. Chike also helped direct the Through the Wire video, so they're a duo, right? But what's also something that we should note is the fact that I lost my whole fucking train of thought.
You just made me think that to big up the fact that he put his whole career on the line to even do this shit too.
Is that too, like, for him to have the foresight?
He wanted to be a comedian, and he was like, "Yo, this guy's special." Like,
you leave your job and your career in Chicago or whatever your pursuits were, and you drop it and you hitch your wagon to this dude because you believe so much in his talent and what he had to offer. Like for you to see incredible. It's incredible.
Yep.
It's incredible.
And I think this was the perfect rollout for Kanye's new album that drops next week.
I was curious about that. I'm like, it's funny. He's in the news a lot, right?
Donda 2. He said we was running out the building. Now we're running in the building burning.
Yeah.
I don't know what he mean by that, but.
And the thing that confused me, I don't know if it confused y'all, but like for a moment there, it looked like Chike and Cootie might have not totally been on the same page with Kanye with the release of this thing, because like he was making demands on his Instagram account about wanting to be there for the final edit. He wanted to have say in the final edit, and then like supposedly he also name dropped Drake and said that he wanted Drake to narrate the documentary. I don't know if y'all caught that.
I remember that. I saw that.
I didn't see that, but I feel like having
Drake,
it would have made no sense. It would have made no sense for Drake.
Right. It feels right that it's Cootie. Like,
yeah.
Maybe Drake himself was like, "Nah, I can't do that." If
right.
that's the case, that's honorable. But
like hearing him tell the story as it happened in front of him is like.
It's funny that you brought it up
amazing.
Though, because I did
like
think
that.
about that, like how he wanted the final edits, not the narration shit, the edit shit. I was like, well, safe to say, I guess they worked on the final edit with him, because it's out.
Maybe
that
not.
was a way to stir something up to know, like, oh, it's coming out soon. Okay.
Typically speaking, when it comes to documentaries, like you don't necessarily want to have the subject be that involved in the creative process, because then they may kind of influence things and change the direction of something that you have in terms of footage. Like they may slant it in a way to make themselves look better, as opposed to this is it and this is what it is, and let it speak for itself. And I got the sense by watching it, and it's one of the things that I liked about the documentary, is that it's not a typical documentary where there's necessarily a slant to it or there's some objective to it. Like it's not people sitting in front of a camera and them retelling stories about Kanye. It's actually Kanye telling his story himself with certain people that he meets along the way, some in his inner circle, some famous people that he's meeting them, and you're meeting these famous people along with him. Yep. You're experiencing all of these things that he's experienced for the first time, like you're there with him. So like
Beyonce backstage at the Chicago show.
Pharrell for the first time. So it's like
girls walking through and Cootie's like, I see you.
It's basically like you're a fly on the wall as his career is getting off to this start and is unfolding. And it's like it's basically what amounts more than a documentary. It's like a firsthand account. You know what I mean? Like that's what to me separates it in a lot of ways.
Yeah. True.
Yep. Perfectly said.
Facts, man.
Yeah, but the Donda album now, like the latest thing is like what he's not gonna release it to streaming services because he has a beef with Apple. He feels like Apple supposedly offered him $100 million contract, I guess, to release exclusive music through them or something to that effect. He turned down the contract because he feels like it's underpaying and undervaluing him. And also he feels like strongly about the fact that artists are not getting paid enough off of streams. So his whole objective now, he took this stand that he said is for artists, and he's not releasing the album the conventional way to streaming platforms. And you can only get the Donda 2 album through the STEM player, which is his own creation and device, was basically
Yeezy Tech.
right,
brand.
exactly. So, which is like $200, by the way, because I was gonna buy one.
I
was like,
ain't gonna lie. This documentary make me want to spend a 200 on it. Fuck it, I want to fuck
I
around
agree.
and play with it.
I
I
agree.
ain't even gonna lie.
yeah, I'm
Not
not gonna
me.
lie. But
I like the documentary, but not that much.
I'm gonna have to get Donda in March.
but then I came to my senses and like, this shit is definitely getting leaked one way or the other. So like,
Yeah,
Facts.
you know what I mean? So
And I
like,
mean, someone made a mention too on like Twitter or something of how like back when he had the deal with Tidal, it was like Life of Pablo was only supposed to be on Tidal, and then it ended up on all streaming platforms anyway. So it's like,
Well, he
When
he
Kanye
actually
decided-
ended up having a falling out con at the time, so he fought to get it on the other platforms. But it was supposed to only be
yeah.
Tidal.
So
But
to me,
recently
that
he
makes sense.
came
So like,
out-
why would someone want to spend a 200 if it's gonna probably get released
in his
anyway?
in his new stream of conscience that he wrote in his caption on Instagram. He mentioned the deal with Apple
Why
and
do we keep doing
mentioned how they try to come at Jay for creating Tidal and being for the artist and all that, and like basically bigging up Jay and shit. So yeah, man. But I don't know. I'm interested to hear what Donda 2 sounds like now. Like,
I mean, I
damn,
like
he
the
kinda
snippet. Like, I fucked with the snippet.
Yeah, but
even
he
on the
spoiled
STEM play
it
shit.
because I'm like, all right, we all anticipate the documentary, and then he goes, "Nah, it ain't gonna be on streaming platforms." Come on, Kanye.
my guess is that
See, what I start this shit with? I said this. Kanye always got the moments where you want to like him, but you always like, damn, Kanye. Like,
We
I think
gonna run
cooler
them
heads will
numbers
prevail.
Up. We gonna run
yeah,
them
I think
numbers
so
up.
too.
Come
I think
on.
so too.
I think eventually it will appear on streaming platforms at some point. It may be in the future, and it might only come once there's some type of something in play or some objective that is established, like, you know, for him to kind of save face, because like he's taking a very, very strong stand. So like when you're going against Apple, when you're going against these streaming platforms like that, like they don't like somebody who's that powerful and has that big of a voice and is arguably the biggest artist in the world, or at least in the conversation for the top 3 or whatever, to say those things, because it puts the battery in the back of everybody else to be like, you know what? Let's all take a collective stand. Like that's terrible for their business model. Like they ain't trying to share a bigger piece of the pie against their own will. So like if he stays true to his word and does this, it's like it puts them in a compromising situation.
Again, though, his intent is in the right place. I think.
Yes.
We're
I
trying
would
to
agree
get
with that.
artists bigger pieces of the pie. Like,
I would agree with that.
So that's the,
Although
I
to
think
some
this
people,
whole thing sums up
I
kind of
think
Kanye.
you should just put it
and
out
what
on
he's talking
Tidal.
about.
I'm a Tidal subscriber. They pay the artist the most out of all the streaming partners.
right.
Throw it on Tidal. Don't worry about it. Everybody else can catch up later.
Yeah. Says the title subscriber. But yeah, like I don't know, like what do you guys felt about the song that you did hear that was kind of previewed, and what that means for the direction of the album? I fucked with it too, by the way, but like what did you guys feel like? Because I mean, Future is supposedly the executive producer. Like I don't know how involved he is or not, but like it seems kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I said I fucked with it, so go ahead, Aaron.
Well, I'm actually trying to pull it up real quick so you could.
Okay, so I'll just talk bullshit. Nah, I really fucked with it. Like, nah, but I like the vibe of it. Like, I don't know, and it's so different. But you know, Kanye always got that way. Like, he'll hit you with a different sound. You feel like you might have never heard before, and then you like, oh shit, like nah, I'm kind of vibing to this. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I put that little 1 minute snippet on a couple times earlier today. Like the same way I was going back to the Kodak Black joint all week. I was doing that with the Kanye
What's
snippet.
that? I'm white.
Is my name Kodak Black, but when you see me, I'm white. Yo,
I kind of need a little bit of it, just a little bit. Okay. I don't know. It was a vibe. It was a vibe. It was a
I
vibe, and
feel
I
it as
like
a
the fact
vibe.
that he's fucking with the levels of it. That might not even be how the original sounds because he's the
I'm
buttons are
sure
getting
it'll
pressed
change. I'm
harder.
sure it'll fucking change
You know what I'm
by
saying?
the by
Well,
So
the
that stem.
release
I think
too.
he was also demoing the stem player what it could do. So like
yeah,
when he was
so
dropping out the beat and like the
making the
vocals, and
stutters and
yeah,
all
that's
that.
not how it's intended to be heard. Probably,
Yeah,
It was
you know,
fire though.
it
it was
sounded
dope.
fire though. Yeah, it did. It did.
Kind
It
of
did.
fire.
Sound. I'm not gonna lie. It sounded like Drake wrote that.
Maybe.
I don't know. I didn't get that. I that thought never came to my mind.
You're gonna
But
have to listen to the cadence again.
okay.
It sounded a little like a Drake flow. I don't know, but hey, they collabed on it. You know, him and Drizzy at peace. That's what he said on the City of Gods. You know, it's a
Yeah,
good
yeah.
thing. Speaking of that, moving on a little bit, but still within the realm of Kanye and good music. Pusha T recently got interviewed on Complex and was asked about Drake and Kanye piecing it up. Did you see his response?
There will be no Drake Pusha T reunions or
There was
peace
never a
talks
fucking
in
get
the near
together in the
future.
beginning.
Right.
What
Well,
was the
actually,
response?
His response was the question was, did Kanye have a conversation with you about that? He said, yeah, we definitely had a conversation about that. He was like, so you were able to like approve of them chop piecing it up. He was like, I don't gotta approve
Yeah,
nothing, but
that's
there was a
weird.
conversation, and the way I felt was that should be good for you. That
Yeah,
should be good for you.
yeah.
And they're
Fuck.
like, and so Speedy Mormon, he's actually from Queens. Shout out to Queens. My uncle actually cuts his hair, which is crazy. But he was like, so there won't be no like Pusha T, Kanye,
Drake.
Pusha T and Drake piece up, and he was like, that's good for him and what he wants to do. That doesn't have to. We passed it. He's like, you guys ain't. He's like, what do you mean? He was like, so you could get you guys aren't past that. He was like, oh, we passed that. But like basically, like he was still in his bag. I was like,
I
yo,
mean, nah. You
it's
could
only
forgive someone and
understandable.
just detach. You don't. It
Yeah,
don't got to be a thing.
yeah.
but
And it's
also
You gotta make peace.
you didn't mention the fact that the way the Drake conversation kind of came up is because Drake put a line as a caption on Instagram from the song "Cot Damn," which is a Clips record,
oh
and
yeah,
there's a line that he put on there on Instagram, and I think it was a photo of Drake's son. So it's a photo of Drake's son, and then the caption is a Pusha T line.
I
So they
peeped that.
asked Pusha T what he felt about that, and basically kind of like he was kind of talking around it somewhat, but he was like, "Yo, like, yeah, I wouldn't put my son in that position if it were me, like necessarily, but like, like I really didn't feel anything about it. I didn't think anything about it in terms of him, using that as a caption.
Yeah,
So like, you could tell like it's still one of those things where it's like they're both dug in, and
yeah,
like he doesn't feel like it's necessary to kind of have a relationship with Drake. Like he's good
yeah.
on that.
I appreciate the fact that Speedy asked these questions though, because I feel like not a lot of people would actually, especially someone like him. He is not really a household name. He's not a Charlemagne the God, so it's kind of risky trying to poke around those questions with a person or artist of the caliber of Pusha. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't know how he's gonna react to that. So I appreciate the fact that he did it. You
And
know,
props to Pusha for keeping it a buck. Like he
and
didn't talk around. He was like, "Yo,
yeah,
like this is what it is. Like that's good
yeah,
for
he a real
him."
one. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
He
Facts.
also spoke on the contract thing that he posted the contract that basically Kanye gave him the ownership to all his masters, which is a honorable thing. And
Kanye
yeah.
capable of taking it right back though.
But also, ownership to all his masters, but I think he said he also is giving him like back pay or something to that
Of his whole catalog.
of his whole catalog
Yeah. Yeah.
and stuff.
Which
so
is
like,
fire. Yeah. That's,
which is crazy, and
unheard of in the music industry.
I'm pretty sure Big Sean is like, yeah, when am I next?
Big Sean's next. They pieced it up. They pieced it up too. They were together in New York and shit for the Donda 2 listening session and all that.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
they were together. They were pictures came out with Sean, French Montana, Yeezy, Kanye, and yeah. I think it was actually around the time 2 Chainz album came out, because I think it was a listening session for that, and then it turned into a Donda 2 listening session or some shit they were reporting.
Okay.
But yeah, so
I
Big
mean,
Sean gonna get his money. That's good shit.
Speaking of Pusha though, like, what's your thoughts on the Diet Coke song that, co-produced by Kanye, produced by 88 Keys? Like,
Another person who's in the documentary and was there since day one.
yes.
Yeah, he was in it. Yep. I remember thinking that when I saw him.
Yep.
Yeah.
I thought it was a fire track.
We didn't talk about this, right?
We didn't get
Before.
to
No, we
know.
briefly talked about it
Briefly, yeah.
off air.
Was it 18-year-old track, right? Like 88 Keys revealed that he had the song for 18 years,
Yep.
Yeah.
which is
Crazy.
wild. And it was an interlude. It wasn't even like meant to be an actual like full-fledged record from what I understand.
Fucking Pusha spazzed on that fucking
He
record.
did.
That's
Missy
what
was my
I
only
love
misdemeanor.
Woo!
Hard.
Yo, that's one thing I could say I appreciate about Pusha T all the time. Like, I've been a fan of him since Clips days as well. You know what I'm saying? And he always comes with some type of record that gives you the mean face and the head bop and it just feels so hip hop.
I'm gonna keep it a buck.
It never
Like,
gets old. I could hear him rap forever. Like, it don't matter. Like,
I'm gonna keep it a buck. When Pusha T releases a new record, like,
It don't make you like be like,
I wanna
shit, he dropped
do-
a new record.
I want to do Cocaine Snow Angels. Like, honestly, that's what I want to do. Like, I just want to like weigh shit on scales. Like,
I'm negative the way he started.
nah.
Eric bleeds hip hop. He loves the shit.
I
that
love
Pusha T
Pusha
does.
T. Like, he's one of my favorite MCs of all time. So like, for
he's
me,
an artist. Me and Eric connected on when we first met back in the days and shit early on. That
for sure.
like even you didn't know how much of the Clips music I listened to, but I know around the time we met was when he had like the what the fuck is that shit that he put out as a mixtape?
Got it
Fear
for cheap.
God, the Fear God shit.
Okay.
And me and you connected over that. When
Oh
we
yeah,
first met and
yeah.
all
That's
that,
true.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Is this the Fear of God Mick?
The
this
first
is
one.
Okay,
The
okay.
The mixtape. Then he dropped the album mixtape.
He dropped the album
when he
mixtape.
signed with Def Jam.
So he had that Hit Boy joint. Oh my God, was it?
Yeah. But even before that, the
Crazy
shit he had with
record.
Knots. Anything that Knots produced on that project was like ridiculous.
Fire.
But yeah, this new shit definitely makes you want to fucking bag up drugs, become a fucking. You just get in your zone. Like, I'm not even. I'm just bagging like mini carrots for my kids' lunch, and I'm feeling like I'm a boss.
Your kids' lunch too.
Yo, all of a sudden, those sandwich bags, those Ziploc bags look mad dangerous.
Missy was the only misdemeanor. Throwing celery in there, broccoli.
Word. You putting those peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in there, and be like,
fucking spreading the jelly. Crack.
Definitely fire track. And then also, so like the Pusha album, highly anticipated. I read today on Twitter, I think it was it Andrew Barber?
Yes. I think so.
Fake Shore Drive. He said that Push said that his album is going to be produced entirely by Kanye and the Neptunes, which is music to my ears.
That would be crazy.
Yeah.
No, it's happening. It's happening.
Yeah. And it's crazy if you think about it. We always said this. Pusha went from getting production by the Neptunes as a member of the Clips to then
Okay.
transition it into a solo career where he is getting produced by Kanye West. Like, how many people could say that?
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you exactly like that was legendary. The real ones knew off rip once Kanye started fucking with him, like, yo, he came from Pharrell and the Neptunes to fucking Kanye. Real ones knew that was like legendary, but still to this day, that remains the core of all his music. Kanye and fucking Pharrell. Like that's crazy. Not no one else could really say that. Not that I'm aware of, not no one I could think of at the moment. Like
Yeah.
that's
I mean,
crazy.
I think it also speaks to like how much producers like Kanye and Pharrell kind of have respect for Pusha's pen, because both of them have made music with huge pop stars and have had massive crossover hits, but the Neptunes always look at Eclipse project as like a passion project. Like they know they're not going to sell millions of albums on it. It's very niche in many ways, but it's an important niche that they have to get their shit off on those projects. Like it's like a vessel that they use to kind of get their extra hip hop shit, street
Yeah.
shit off, where they won't be able to do that when they're producing records for Britney Spears and Madonna and doing records with Daft Punk and whatever the hell, who's the
Yeah.
big pop artist at the time. And I think Kanye also kind of like, Kanye said himself right in the Drink Champs interview that like everybody thought that I was like on some
Backpack.
backpacker type shit and some underground thing, but like the niggas I really the people that I really fuck with, just leave it in there. The people that I really fuck
I
with
wasn't taking it out.
are are um are like the street dudes. Like that's the music that gets me like whatever. It's not the backpack shit. Like I love it, but like the street dudes are the ones that kind of get me like motivated and stuff. Like that's my inspiration,
Yeah.
you know. So like it's interesting.
And now that you brought up kind of just real briefly, Talib Kweli was part of that fucking documentary too, and it was like I was automatically thinking about the Drink Champ shit, where it's like that was another moment where he tried to attack Kweli because he felt Kweli didn't agree with his how he sees things or whatever, whether it be his political views or whatever. But yeah, man, crazy. Um, yeah, fucking Diet Coke's fire. Donda 2's coming. Uh,
And you
can't wait for part two
got the
of.
Fabio record on with Alicia Keys that's taking off right now.
That's another one, which is another great fucking song that recently came out with Kanye attached to it. Kanye's actually executive producing Fabio's album. It's called Bible, so that's fire. I don't know what the acronym stand for, but regardless, that's a dope title, and
It's a
um
huge look
Yeah,
for New York
I
too.
forgot what it was. I knew it, I
and
think.
that's a huge look for New York. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
But Kanye always had love for New York, man. He always kind of put his hands around whatever the new like street rapper is from New York coming up sometimes, you know?
Well, I mean, New Yorkers are the ones that gave him the platform to record his first album. They signed him to Rockefeller, and also he made his biggest mark with New York rappers early
He
on in his
literally
career.
came to New York to change his life, so
Yeah,
it's great.
fact.
Basic instructions before leaving Earth is Bible, the acronym.
Basic instruct.
Oh,
That's a fire ass acronym.
that's fire. Is that what Fabio's acronyms are?
That's what I'm seeing on Google. I mean, the Bible itself isn't an acronym for
I
that, I
mean,
don't
you never
think.
know. The churches might be using that acronym
No,
too.
no.
Yeah, maybe
But
a cult, not a church. Though.
yeah, they're called the Woo. Nah, but
Yeah,
yeah, man, I think that was dope enough content for the week. Whatever we couldn't talk about, we definitely gonna get to, whether it's sports, whether it's more music, whether it's another documentary, because if it's worth talking about it, we talking about it. We talk about whatever the fuck we want. And pretty much, today was dedicated to some things that like instantly like we felt like, yo, this shit is classic. So we fucking was talking about that. You know what I'm saying? Like if you
Yeah.
don't know, that's the Genius documentary.
Go watch
You know?
Genius if you haven't.
I'm just tight. He took the title of your future documentary, Working Genius, but
Got way more. I got
Spell
way more potential names in the bag.
spell what phonetically though, right? Is that the correct word? Like when you
Phonetically, yeah. His is
yeah.
spelled phonetically, yeah.
yeah, which is dope as well.
Super dope.
Yes. But yeah, man. So on another note, we'll see you next week. You can follow me at Faking No Moves. My handles is right there on the screen. You see that Twitter, Instagram at Faking No Moves. It's the No Politics Network.
And you can follow me at Eric BNYC, Twitter, Instagram.
Look at your screen, you gonna see. You gonna see where to follow.
Yes.
Facts. Peace.